Let's bring in Dan Bongino. He's the host of Unfiltered with Dan Bongino. He's a former NYPD officer as well. Dan, you've heard the conversation. You've seen the video. What are your thoughts this morning?
Well, I intentionally didn't do any media on this, even in my own accounts, social or my shows, or even this network last night, because I wanted to wait to comment until I actually watched the video multiple times, saw multiple angles. And, you know, having done this job, having been a street cop in the 7-5 precinct in East New York, Brooklyn, one of the most dangerous in the country, you know, I've been there and hundreds of traffic stops and foot pursuits. So I've seen it, and I know exactly what it feels like to walk up on a car. I waited to comment because I'm trying to find any legitimate, rational reason that the situation was handled the way it was. There's been a lot of commentary on this about training and other things, and I don't get where that comes from. You think anyone was trained to do this? This isn't a training issue, guys. I was actually a trainer in the Secret Service Law Enforcement Academy and went through the NYPD Academy twice in the cadet program and a cop, and the Secret Service Academy and the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center down in Glynn County, Georgia. Nobody is trained to do this. This is not a training issue. This is a personnel issue. These guys are just bad guys. Who does this? Listen, guys, there is no attempt in this situation. And again, I've been there, I've done this, I've watched this video now probably 10 times. There is no attempt at all, at any point in this scenario, to de-escalate. None. Zero. Keep in mind as well, this is not a one-on-one. You have multiple men here who significantly outweigh this guy. And listen, I get it. I once watched 2 ESU cops, SWAT cops, in a hospital in Brooklyn nearly get taken out by a 13-year-old young girl. So people do get, the adrenaline rush and that happens in these kind of stressful situations, as Peach has said, is very real. But again, there doesn't appear to be any attempt whatsoever to de-escalate and lower the adrenaline level. I've got a couple more points to make here. Listen, as conservatives and libertarians, and as any sane, rational lover of this country, it is our duty, no matter who we're looking at in this video, a cop, a civilian, or anyone else, to defend everyone's God-given rights. God-given rights. The Constitution just protects what God gave you. I'm not really sure that these cops understood that with this guy. I mean, I don't understand what he did. They're saying reckless driving. Why are you yanking him out of the car then? Mm-hmm. Where's your license? Well, you know, can we see your license, sir? We pulled you over for reckless driving. You know, I don't understand where any of that is. Wait, a couple other things here. And this is important. All the police officers out there I know that are good and decent people, you know this, and don't ever forget this. We are not vigilantes. This isn't freaking Judge Dredd, okay? We are paid to do a job. We are that thin crust on a volcano, as that old adage goes, and we keep civilization along with our military internationally intact, okay? When those handcuffs are on or that subject stops resisting, that fight, damn it, it's over, man. That fight is over. That is not your fight anymore. That's not your fight anymore. It is for the judge and the judicial system and a jury, or if he decides to plea and get a lawyer at that point, that is the purpose of a legal system. We are not animals. We are not savages. We don't beat the living out of people to make a point. This isn't a bar fight. We're not bouncers. We are professionals. And one last thing. Actually, I got a couple other things. You don't soccer kick someone in the damn head. Amen. They don't even let that happen in the UFC. When a person is not on their feet, you don't kick them in the head. What you could literally kill them, which in this case happened. One more point here. The process worked. The process worked, guys. You had these officers immediately terminated, and the judicial system, which they disrespected by beating the crap out of this guy till he died, the judicial system they disrespected will now ironically handle them. These 5 men you see on the screen. Like anyone else, they're entitled, however, to the presumption of innocence. They will have their say in court as well. However, now they will be subjected to a jury of their peers. Again, the same exact system they disrespected by enacting a death penalty themselves in this case.
Dan, great stuff. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, first of all, I'm going to ask you a question. First of all, I agree with everything that you said. And so this question that I'm going to ask you is not in any way that I'm acting as an apologist for these cops, because I think what they did is despicable.
I understand.
My question is, one of the things that we did notice in the tape is that they came in really hot, right? They came in like they were in pursuit. We don't know what happened before other than we are hearing reckless driving or something. Do you feel like there's something missing that we don't know? And if there is, why wasn't that information released at the same time so we could have some answers to that?
Well, there's always going to be context issues we're unaware of. I mean, in any case, it's a legitimate question. There's no apology for anything needed. And I heard Lawrence bring it up before, which is a good point. Where did they come from before this? Did one guy get in a fight with his wife before he got to work? The bottom line is you're never going to know all that. And you know what also, you know what the other bottom line is, Rachel? It doesn't matter. You're a cop. You're not a vigilante.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. Like, yes, of course the story matters and the context matters, but that doesn't excuse anything. Hey, I had a fight with my wife. My kid failed their math test. So you rip a guy out of the car and you beat the crap out of him? I mean, I guess context-wise, it fills holes we need, and I can sense what you're doing, Rachel, because I do the same thing. You're trying to understand as a human being and a lover of Jesus Christ, like, why would you do that to another person? And you're trying for it to make sense. Human beings think in narratives and stories. We're not ants. We're not dogs. We need explanations for behaviors. Dogs don't. Dogs go, I sit, you give me a cookie. We're not dogs. We want some explanation. We always ask why. But the hard reality here, when you look at the moral and ethical universe here, is the why here really doesn't matter. There is no excuse for that. I have been through so many of these training courses. Let me say one more thing, too, on this topic. There should be no overreaction on the other side of this either. There are people out there, as the great Robert Woodson said before, who have made a grievance industry out of this, who see dollar signs and chaos in their future. And that's all they want. These officers were charged with murder. They will be subjected to a jury of their peers in a civilized constitutional republic. There is a process. I'm hearing calls already. We need to disband the Scorpion unit. That is probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know why? Because, again, I'm basing it on reason and fact. After they had use of force incidents in the NYPD, they dumped the street crime unit. And you know what happened? A whole lot of young black men got freaking killed because that unit was taking all the illegal guns off the street. So everybody needs to look at this and be sober and rational and reasonable and say, do we have this unit? What is it doing? Are there bad cops in it? Have we made bad personnel issues? Clearly, in this case, let's clean the unit up. But let's not fold to political pressure, which is going to, in the long run, get more young men and women killed by putting bad cops in units. This is a personnel issue. I'm telling you, this is not a training issue. Nobody is trained to do this. No one.
The unit is inactive as of right now because of this incident.
No, that's a shame. Well, that's a shame because I'm telling you that anti-crime and these plainclothes units in New York City were probably single-handedly responsible for about 60 to 70% of the crime reduction. No one's going to lecture me on it, man. I was there. I did this. You have a whole bunch of people commenting on it. I understand. People have a right to comment on it. I was there, man. The 7-5 precinct, we were in a foot pursuit or vehicle pursuit or some purpose suspect resisting every single night. The rules were the same. The cuffs are on, the fight is over. They stop resisting, the fight is over. That's the training. That's the training. You don't disband the unit because of an incident like this, however horrifying it is to watch. My wife and I sat at a restaurant down the block last night. The 2 hours I get of my free time, I think, the whole week. Watch this thing in horror. I couldn't. I had to. I'm like, she's like, how? I said, I don't know. I don't know how. All I know now is we thankfully live in a constitutional republic, and they'll be subjected to a jury of their peers, and we'll see what they say about it.
Very well said, Dan. The right guy, as we knew, to talk about it this morning. It means you're going to have a powerful show tonight as you dissect it further. What do you have tonight?
Well, tonight we'll be covering a lot. You're on the show tonight. We'll be covering the Paul Pelosi breaking news story on that. Also, I have a segment on George Soros with Open Borders. I saw you guys on the wall, and I just want you to think about something before tonight's show. You know, that FBI agent was arrested for allegations of taking money for political activities in Albania. Mm-hmm. Well, Soros was in Albania, too. And you know who else was in Albania? The Sinaloa drug cartel was in Albania. And the Biden administration suspiciously did absolutely nothing about it. And mainstream media people were asking a whole lot of questions about why Biden was doing nothing about narco trafficking in Albania, which, by the way, the Sinaloa cartel profits off open borders, which is a key function of a lot of these Soros-funded groups. Mm-hmm. I'll put it together for you tonight with Matt Palumbo. It's a pretty incredible piece.
Excellent. Really good stuff. I love the point about we want to know as human beings the why, but in the end, it doesn't matter the why.
That's right.
You know what the answer is that there are some bad people, and that's what's really hard for us to understand.
That's right.
Really
and Rachel,
there's evil.
I know we got to go, but and that's why we have a justice system.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's why we have a justice system, to pick those people out.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for coming, Dan. We appreciate it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.